Hello, I'm Dale Matthews. It's Sunday. Mike and I are going to talk about the charter. Mike, hello.
Hey Dale, how's it going?
It's going okay. And so, charter is our subject for the day. However, as usual, we're going to start off with a couple of cutting edge news pieces. You do get a chance to see it here. And here is the first one, this one from the front page of the Courier today.
Yes. Yes, this is today's Courier.
That's you.
Yes.
Okay, there's today's Courier.
Yes.
And you will be happy to see, everybody, that the Courier is catching up with where we were half a month ago.
Yes.
Pastors published video endorsing safety levy. They put their best investigative reporters on it, and they actually went and looked at our videos and then didn't bother calling and talking to us, but they quoted us from the video, which is very nice. And here is this news that they have uncovered with their investigative reporting.
Yes.
Now, our investigative reporter, Mike Jones, he goes out and he finds something that happened just a few minutes ago to tell you about. They have caught up to half a month ago. So actually, in this case, it's kind of amazing that they were able to somehow, Jeff Duell, who wrote this, did a good job. I thought he did a fairly decent job on this. And he quoted and he, just about everybody involved, including Art Harvey, the county clerk, for some reason. And but how in the world was Jeff Duell able to get around that famous blocker of the news at the Courier, Jim Moore? I mean,
yeah, go figure.
I told you before that when I call the newsroom over there, I'll mention a news story and they don't even know what I'm talking about because Jim's not telling his own colleagues what the news is. So here we are, right on the front page of the Courier. They're just about able to catch up to where we were half a month ago. Pretty impressive from the Courier.
Yes. Yes, indeed. They're right on the cutting edge. Isn't that nice?
Yes. So anyway, that's from the Courier, and for those of you who get our news alerts, and I do send those out when something has happened just a couple minutes ago, like we did with the vote with the Republican Central Committee. They were only 3 days late on that, but that was reported by Jim Moore. In this case, we sent that out, and if you want to get on news alerts and find out what's happening, or if you have a life, don't do that. But if you want to know what's going on, then we can tell you up to the minute. Now, we also have another thing up to the minute, which just happened yesterday. And apparently the Oath Keepers in the person of Joseph Rice have just about had it up to here with the lack of vigorous response from our county sheriff to what's happening with the Sugar Pine Mine. And we have a piece of video, and we want to thank Viken Northampton, Viken
Nakudian,
Viken for shooting this video.
We're getting right now, yeah. Or as we affectionately know him as Vic.
Yes, and thank you very much, Viken Nakudian, for sharing this video with us. It stops a little abruptly. Viken, I asked you to put a little bit of pause at the end, but anyway, you'll see this is pretty interesting.
Oh, and that's us looking a gift horse in the mouth.
No, I'm so happy that he did this. Good, because we went to this barbecue yesterday, just yesterday now. So we're a little ahead of the Courier on this one too. And I heard the sheriff say this. I thought, oh man, I need that footage. So despite rumors, we don't take video cameras with us everywhere we go. So no bathroom footage. Okay, go ahead and play that footage if you will, Mike.
What's interesting to me is we have looked at our county government. We talk about leadership and we talk about voting. It's very important to know what you're voting for and what they stand for. We've had Commissioner Heck, Commissioner Hare have stood in support of the miners. Carl Wilson has stood in support of the miners. County Legal Counsel Wally Hicks has stood in support of the miners. Sheriff Dave Daniel has been completely and totally absent. And I'm to the point after a dozen invitations for him to come out here to be involved, to see what's going on, to be educated on what is happening and not to show. He was in Merlin last week and participated in a parade, but he couldn't be bothered to come over here and talk to the miners. When we talk about a constitutional sheriff, that means he has the authority to stand up and tell BLM cease and desist until these miners get their day in court. He has refused to do that. We have a deputy that made a statement, I have issues with the Constitution. Sheriff Daniel asked me what I was wanting to do, and I said, the gentleman needs to be terminated. If he took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States, and he says he has issues with it, he cannot enforce law. If he has issues with constitutional law, he does not belong wearing a sheriff's badge. That's his conscious choice. He needs to move on. We get in this trap of what is right, what is wrong, or the least path of resistance. And for all those that have served overseas, they've spilled their blood, they've gotten broken, they're trying to heal and lick their wounds. When you come back here and you see someone that's unwilling to make the same type of sacrifice for protection of rights, that's insulting. That's abusive. You don't belong in the position. So move on. But at this point, he has not started an internal affairs investigation. He has not done anything because, quote unquote, the union won't let me.
Nice. The union won't let him. I mean, who's running the sheriff's office?
Now, Dale, why is that not in the Courier? We're just happy that they're catching up with us eventually. And by the end of the year, we might even be on the same day in our little town. It's nice to know. Okay, now over my shoulder on this side is something that relates to tonight's topic. We're going to be talking about executive compensation, about how much money the commissioners are paid, specifically the commissioners. Now, this is a meeting that I went to of the elected officials compensation committee. And you're supposed to be able to have a chance, at least it's been this way. I've been to many more of these than J.J. Schofield, the HR director, and even our finance director has been at, our new finance director. I've been to 4 of them now. And I go every year. And every year I ask some variation of this question: why are we comparing ourselves with richer counties? Wouldn't the people here be a lot happier if their officials were paid, their elected officials were paid somewhere near the same salary as everybody else, because they're so much more important than we are?
Right.
So I started, thank you, that's the wrong one. So I started to talk about this in this meeting and ask a question at the end. You were always allowed to ask questions at the end of this meeting, and I'm, well, so far, always 4 years in a row, the only person that has a question that's from the audience, because the others are elected officials. They're very interested. They got all kinds of questions and lots of suggestions. But when they were done, they said, now, according to the agenda, it's time for citizens to be able to ask questions. I held up my hand. Yes, Dale? Yeah, I'm the only one. And so I started to ask my question. Well, J.J. Schofield decided that it was time to interrupt me because he had some more things to say. Okay, so wait for J.J. Schofield, the HR director. And then I started to ask my question. Well, he decided it was time for him to speak again, right on top of me. And then he started speaking. And then wait. Okay. And now ask my question. Well, he decided it was time for him to speak. He was trying to stop me from asking any kinds of questions about executive compensation. Now, why would he be doing that? He's the head of HR and doesn't want a citizen to be able to ask a question. So I brought this up at the budget meeting, the first budget meeting. And I said, well, this is what happened at this, because they had just gotten a report from Larry West, who's here, just gotten a report from Larry West about their suggestions about, maybe a cost of living increase for the officials. Because, you know, as Larry pointed out, how in the world can we expect to recruit the best commissioners in the world, I'm paraphrasing just a little bit, if we don't offer top salaries, why, they could leave Josephine County and move to Jackson County and get higher salaries perhaps, or maybe other elected officials could leave the area, sounds like a good start to me, and they could find more money somewhere else.
I was about to suggest that it sounds like a very good idea.
I agree with you, Mike. And so
completely down with that. I have our charter as it relates to compensation, and I also have the annotation that the amendment that follows it up. So.
Okay, just wanted to mention one more thing. So here I am. I'm at this budget meeting, and I'm recalling what happened at this meeting. And the finance director, he's also the budget officer. He gets up when I'm done, see, because I'm seated now and can't say any more words. He gets up when I'm done and points out that, I don't know what Mr. Matthews was talking about. You're not allowed to ask questions at this meeting. He gave false testimony as the budget officer to the budget committee. That's not true. I've been to many more of them than he has, and he decided to offer up false testimony. You can call it a lie if you wish. It's not the truth, so it's kind of the opposite of that. And then afterwards, when I said to him, why did you do that? J.J. Schofield said, Mr. Matthews, you are lying all the time. These are our county officials that must be trusted, especially at the budget meeting. Okay, so Mike, we have some material here that's from the charter, because we've been going through the charter every Sunday, and the material is about the $30,000 that the commissioners are supposed to be paid, and the citizens decided to put this in as a special thing into the charter, not when it was originally written, if I understand correctly, but it was an amendment. Is that right, Mike?
Well, you know what? This looks like
original.
It looks like it was. Yeah, it's kind of hard to say. I think this was part of the original charter, and then the amendment is the change to it, which took place in 1990.
How much are commissioners supposed to be paid? Now, if I'm
glad you asked that, Dale.
Let's find out. Let's look at it. Go ahead.
Yes. Section 25, compensation, talks about the compensation and job-related expenses of personnel in the service of the county shall be fixed annually by budget committees. The combined total yearly salary and county-provided fringe benefits of a Josephine County commissioner shall not exceed $30,000. And any proposed increase in their salary or benefits beyond that amount shall require voter approval.
Voter approval.
Yes.
So, despite what all the rest of it may say, and we're going to talk about that, despite what all the rest of that may say, where's the controversy? It says so in the charter. You cannot be paid as a county commissioner any more than $30,000. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, without voter approval. And when such a proposal is presented to the people, it shall be clearly worded on the ballot that it is a pay increase request and shall include both the percentage and the amount of the increase requested. Any salary or benefit increase shall extend to no more than 4 years after the date of the voter approval. In other words, every single time somebody there wants an increase in their salary, they're going to have to ask for it, and the voters are going to have to approve it, and then it only lasts 4 years. I absolutely love this. No wonder why they did it.
It's a sunset on the increase.
It's fantastic. And so it doesn't surprise me at all that somebody got in there and fiddled around with it.
So since this is what the citizens insisted on, we are a home rule county. We're governed by our charter, and that charter actually it's not supersedes, but it has precedence over certain state laws. Mike, would you like to bring people up to speed about how in the world did that change?
Well, you know what? I'm not because Wally was talking about that, and I was catching some of it, but there was some specificity that if this, if this happens on a third Tuesday, then this happens or whatever. There was some stuff there that I didn't understand, but it does say here, federal or state mandated programs requiring employer contributions shall be exempt from this provision, amended May 1990.
Okay, so here's the story that our previous legal counsel for 20 years told me. I heard him say that when they saw this and he didn't like it, and neither did the commissioners at the time, that he actually went to court against the people who voted him in to make sure that this admonition against taking more than $30,000 and the thing about coming back and having to get it approved, this was going to be nixed out by that guy, by Steve Rich, and by the commissioners at the time, because they didn't like their salaries restricted to a level which would be somewhat commensurate with the rest of the population. Because you see, they are lofty individuals, and they are, way up here, way up above my head, and they are commissioners in the middle of nowhere, Oregon, and that makes them very important people.
Yes. And I wonder, I don't know how the county council is affected by, revisiting this, because Wally seemed to indicate that there was some interest in going back and looking at all of these annotations that took place during Steve Rich's tenure in office, and revisiting them to make sure that that's all kosher, and perhaps unamending the amendments or unannotating the annotations or something along those lines. So I'm actually looking forward to that. But then how motivated can he be to look into this particular part of the charter, which talks about the compensation and may ultimately affect him?
It would ultimately affect him. All of this. Well, now this one said specifically county commissioners.
Yes, it did.
All right, so I'm going to lay out a challenge to anyone in the audience. Hello, Tony, and some other people who are thinking of running for county commissioner, because I'm going to do so. Okay, I'm going to bring the same kind of stuff that we do here to that position. Okay, and so I'm not going to win. Okay, but on the other hand, here's my challenge to all of the county commissioners candidates. I will pledge to take no more than $30,000. That's it. That's what the charter says. And if it turns out where the state says, or some judge says, well, you must take more than that, then I will not take more than 30. I will take, whatever it is, $80,000, whatever, and donate all the rest of it to charity, because I'm going to follow the charter. Now, if you don't want to follow the charter, don't run for this office. Now, Keith Hicks says, well, I don't want to pay the taxes on the extra amount, because you would have to pay the taxes. If you're bringing in $80,000, $90,000 a year, $75,000 a year, whatever, you're going to pay a boatload of taxes when you're only going to take home 30. That's the job.
So here's what you do. This is real simple. You take the $30,000 and you figure out what the tax would be on the $30,000, and you pay that tax. Okay, so you're only taking whatever that tax is subtracted from 30,000. That's what you would ultimately get in total pay, and then the balance of it would be to pay the taxes on the rest of it and give it the rest of charity. I don't understand what's so complicated about that. That's not very complicated.
It puts them into a new category, a new tier of taxing. And what they don't want to do, well, Simon Hare and Cheryl Walker were very angry when Keith Hicks suggested that maybe their salary should be, well, I don't know, that makes us look bad. Here's the thing. If you're being taxed on $200,000 a year, but the charter says you're only supposed to bring home 30, then I will pay the dang taxes on 200,000 or whatever it is, and I will take home 30. Now, if you're going to run for this office and you can't compete with that, then don't run.
Yes, this is a very interesting strategy that Dale is taking here. Yes. Well,
we're death on this thing about obeying the law. It's very, very simple. If you don't like that, then don't run. Then move to Jackson County and run for. But we have a charter, and it says very specifically what the rules are. Now, if you want to vote for somebody that says, "Oh, I don't care what the charter says. I want the money," what are you doing?
Yes. Yeah, well, it's clear where your motivations are. Now, here is this is the annotation, which is the amendment that is having to do with the
30,000.
Negating that part of the charter.
Very important.
Yeah, Josephine County Circuit Court case 90-CV-139, Judge blah blah blah. That compensation was an administrative matter and not a legislative matter, and that an administrative matter, as an administrative matter, it was not appropriate subject for amendment by initiative. In other words, they don't want you having a situation where these commissioners have to put their raise before the voters. And so they make it easy, and they put in some case law that supports their particular position.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing about that, Mike, and thanks for letting me get in a little too. The thing about that is it clear what the voters of Josephine County wanted? And is it clear what the charter says? And so a judge says, well, that's not going to be appropriate. Wait a minute. What is it that the voters of Josephine County wanted? And if you're really a public servant, then no matter what the cost is to you, even if you end up with $1.95, that's the job. That's the job. And so you do what the voters have insisted upon. Where's the mystery in this?
Okay, but here's what they say. Let's see here. This is in Pumilia versus Hudson, Josephine County Circuit Court case 94-CV-0111. The court, Judge Ross Davis presiding, determined, among other things, that Oregon state statutes preempted Section 25 of the charter, or at least portions thereof. Okay. And that there was a clear duty on the part of the county finance director to pay commissioners as provided by state statutes and Section 25. Again, see Lane County Transit versus Lane County.
Now, again, this brings us back to the same question that we had before, the same point. Okay, so a judge says you must pay them. Okay, pay them. Then they can pay the taxes on the entire amount. I don't want to pay the taxes. Pay the taxes on the entire amount. And then do what the voters have insisted upon and what the charter says, not what some judge says in Permilia versus Knutson Milk. Yeah. You do what the charter says or get out.
Yes.
Am I being too fanatic about this?
No, listen, I personally don't think so. I would really like to go back and examine that, because they're talking about Lane County versus Lane County Transit. It sounds like they're talking about bus drivers or something like that. How does that relate to commissioners? The bus drivers are not elected.
How's anyone going to be able to compete with this? How is anybody going to be able to say, well, I'm not going to do what Dale Matthews does? Why would you vote for him? Ever? So, well, it's easy for you to say, Mr. No, it's not easy for me to say. It would bring up my level. I mean, I'm on a tiny little fixed income too, but I'm going to run for office because I promised that I would. I promised that I would, and I'm going to. Now, if you want to vote for, Cheater McGee and all of his pals, go right ahead.
Cheater McGee. Is he running again?
Oh, man, is he always running? Wouldn't you like it? Wouldn't you like it if there was none of the above? They would never allow us to have none of the above, but wouldn't you vote every time for none of the above if you could, really?
Yeah, I would certainly be tempted, depending on who else was running. Of course, it always depends on who's running.
Well, I would throw myself on the fire and have none of the above win
You would
above
throw
me.
yourself on a fire?
To have none of the above on the ballot.
Oh.
If it was on there every time from now on, even if it hurt me, I'd be totally in favor of that. What a contribution. They would have a day in your name in Josephine County forever if you could pull that one off.
I was going to say that if you were going to put that on the ballot, should they, put Dale on a fire or something?
Oh, yeah. Well,
you might actually get people to vote for that.
This is not Game of Thrones. That's on right now, but no, this is
we're
not.
missing it. Okay. Well, you know what? Hey, guess what? This is a momentous occasion because we put our upfront teaser and we talked about the compensation. I would say of all of the things that are discussed about the charter amongst people across their back fence, the $30,000 compensation probably is number one.
I believe that to be the case. Now, we have Judgment Day. Oh, now it sounds like an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. We have, because we talked about Terminator before, we have Judgment Day coming up on this. I'm going to suggest to you that you hold their feet to the fire. Isn't that what we do on a daily basis? Hold their feet to the fire, and you pay attention to every person that's running. And the first question you should ask them is, will you follow the charter? If they say, oh, no, I don't like that. That's not convenient. Then you should not be running. I'm not going to vote for you. There will be one candidate that will say, oh, I'm sure somebody else. Oh, yeah, I certainly will. And then guess what's going to happen? When they get in, they'll say, oh, I didn't realize I couldn't do it. Well, too bad. I did try to make that. No. We're telling you ahead of time. You will have to pay. You'll have to take all the money. Okay, the worst case scenario, you will have to take all of the money. You will have to pay all of the taxes, but you can only take home $30,000 out of that. Now, that's the challenge to you. Don't be weasel wording around with this.
Okay,
I'm not.
We have had a lot of experience in the past few weeks of dealing with people parsing words and being very, very careful about. In other words, you can't say that the pastor said that if you don't vote for the levy, then you're going to hell or you're a Satan worshiper, because he didn't say that exact thing in quotes. Okay.
That's correct.
Yes, we know that. This is something that you put together from watching the whole thing. It is very, very clear that that's intended.
Right, because he's saying, don't question authority. And now here's a video with authorities in it, and they're talking about it.
Yes. So that's
Simon,
very clear.
I can't connect the dots. Come on, Simon. Okay, go ahead, Mike.
So all I'm trying to do is make the point that because of the fact that we're so used to people parsing words, you're going to have to say, when you say follow the charter, you're going to have to say as it was originally written, because in this charter, it has a notation amendment such and such 1990, and that would lead you to that amendment, and therefore let them be able to get by with the without going to the $30,000 salary because of the amendment that's stated in the charter.
You know, Mike and I talk with people about the stories. We got people coming up to us all the time and asking us, and we're so careful in the way that we say things to them. I'm sure they're thinking, what's the matter with these guys? I mean, I just asked a simple question. Well, let me give you the exact wording. And the only reason why is because there's other people that ask the question, aha, you didn't say that. Well,
he didn't say such and such exactly.
He didn't say. We actually got one of these. He never said devil worship. He said Satan worship. Oh, well, I stand corrected, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. This happened with Larry Graves. They didn't get a raise. I gave them more time.
Yes.
Yes. Well, they're taking more money home.
Right. And it ends up being the same thing. It's like, are we dumbing ourselves down so much in this country that we cannot extrapolate meaning from a block of something? You watch a movie. What did you come out of that with? No one could leave Mark Gowen's religious service of a couple of weeks ago and not know that that guy wants you to vote for the levy. And that, by the way, if you don't vote for the levy, then you're somehow being rebellious against authority, which, of course, is like Satan worship. You know, I mean, you cannot leave there without knowing that. So is it a stretch to say that Mark Gowen said that if you don't vote for the levy, you're a Satan worshiper? No, I don't think it is.
Well, it would be to someone like Simon Hare when I said you questioned what you said that didn't question it. You said that the former sheriff was padding his budget. And now, you know, what does padding mean? What's a budget? What is a sheriff?
That's
what does it mean to
right.
say something? He didn't answer.
What is
he just
what's
said
the definition
flat
of the word is?
Right. He just said flat out that he never said it. Okay,
Yeah.
so even when you come up with something that's very specific.
So, Dale, are you having an affair with that woman?
Not right now, because I'm on the show.
That's right. Yes.
Okay, so that's the challenge to those who are running. Now, they'll forget all about this, or they'll come up with other weaselly words for it. Oh, well, they think I'm going to obey the court. Yeah. Are you running for a court position, or are you running for a position in a home rule charter county that has a charter?
Well, and hopefully Wally is going to work all this stuff out before we get to 2016. But here's the momentous occasion. Now that we have front-loaded everything, we're finally at the part of the charter that comes just after the table of contents, and that is the preamble.
Wow, cool. Let's look at that preamble. I could hardly wait. This is This is the whip topping on top of the entire charter, reading the preamble. I pledge allegiance to the charter. What does that say?
Of the United States of America. No.
Well, it says something similar.
Oh, yes, it does. It says, we, the people of Josephine County, Oregon, in order to avail ourselves of self-determination in county affairs to the fullest extent now or hereafter granted or allowed by the constitutions and laws of the United States and state of Oregon, by this charter confer upon the county the following powers, subject to the following restrictions, and prescribe for it the following procedures and governmental structure. Chapter 1.
It seems very important to me that what that is doing is that's doing the same thing as our Constitution is doing. It's protecting the citizens from the government, not giving them. You only have the powers that we give you, and this is the key to explaining why. Can I see you again, Mike? This is the key to explaining why there's this challenge between what the Bible says, as Mark Gowen said, because it's right out of the Bible,
right,
and what we do in America. Because
this is a very good point. This charter was written by Satan worshipers.
No. What this is about is it does say that to question authority. It does say to a question authority is a lot like Satan worship. The only thing is, since that leads you to the natural conclusion or unnatural conclusion that our founding fathers all had to have been Satan worshipers because they were questioning authority, well, how can these two be reconciled? And the answer to that is because in America, we are the authorities.
Yes,
and it's government that's questioning authority. And therefore, it's actually Cheryl Walker who's the Satan worshiper.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.